You're in the luxury real estate market.
Ask me a question about vintage football cards or real estate.
What about
Pokemon.
the luxury metaverse real estate market?
Oh yeah, what are your thoughts on the
Yeah.
metaverse?
So
yeah,
Interesting question too. I think that's also, I think, maybe partially inflated right now, but I think over the long run, I think that metaverse land is probably an unbelievably awesome investment. I mean, in the future, I don't think there's any question that in 20 years, we're all going to be in the metaverse. I mean, no one's going to be working because there's probably not any jobs because we're all going to be automated, except luxury real estate agents. But honestly, though, I mean, 80% of our workforce in 20 years they'll be sitting at home in the metaverse. Plus, when you introduce like porn into the metaverse, I mean, I'm just being honest.
yeah.
Then everyone's going to be staying at home. So I think the future is probably a lot of people staying at home, on the
Watching
metaverse.
It's too bad some of those
Not
companies
watching
aren't,
it,
like-
probably doing it in the metaverse.
It's you have to think too. I got this idea because we were talking about they sold a virtual yacht for like $900,000,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, imagine that person who bought that yacht could rent it out. at
You
like
can
50
rent. A
yeah,
lot of people are renting
50
out their
grand,
metaverse.
but only
land.
people who could afford to pay the 50 grand can network with other people who are willing to pay the 50 grand. Imagine the networking that you could do on a yacht.
It's like owning
that.
a Bored Ape. I mean, they have that
Right, yeah.
networking.
But you know what I'm mad about? Did you see the the resolution?
That's
and-
terrible.
Okay,
Yeah, but
I
it's
could
all
pay,
about it's all about 10 years from now. It's
but
all
I could
about
pay
now.
a developer 900 grand and be like, hey, develop me a better yacht. I could chill
No, they
out.
spent, I think, about 150 or 250,000 building that yacht out. I think.
Wow.
Easy.
Yeah, so it's a lot of work. But then they sold it for way more.
Yeah.
Listen, I think that it's unquestionable that land in the metaverse is going to be a tremendously valuable investment. The problem is you don't know what metaverse.
Yeah.
Facebook's coming out with one. Others will. So if you knew like Decentraland was the metaverse that was going to be huge, but it's not going to be huge until it's three-dimensional, until you're wearing, and nobody wants to put on a 10-pound Oculus. So
Yeah.
in 10 years from now, you'll probably have a contact lens. You'll put that in, and you'll be seeing, a three-dimensional metaverse. And then, like I said, I hate to be like, overly honest about this, but I do believe that once porn gets introduced into the metaverse,
That's
it's
true.
gonna, you're gonna see a lot of guys staying at home, because it's gonna be the most vivid like sexual experience for people. And I'm actually concerned because I think, because you're not gonna need. The other thing too is it's gonna affect real estate. These glasses
Yeah.
or these contact lenses, you're not gonna need a $5 million house with a view because everyone's gonna have that. You're gonna
What,
wake
you're talking about
up
in the metaverse.
Yeah, you're
You
going to
just-
be in the
yeah.
metaverse probably 10 hours a day. You're just going to probably, use the restroom and eat and then sleep outside the metaverse. So I think that's why I think land in the metaverse is so
Do you think it's
valuable.
worth it to go in that direction though, like as a society
No.
to be able to plug
I
in
think it's
and, like-
extremely concerning from
Yeah.
a societal perspective, but that said, it's going to happen. No, I think there's going to be a tremendous loss of purpose in 10, 20 years. I think you're going to see kids. I mean, I think that the number of people having kids is going to reduce to a very concerning level. I think relationships will suffer. I mean, I think that when you can be in the metaverse having relationships, that real relationships will probably suffer tremendously. I think a lot of things are going to suffer. I mean, I think you think Instagram is bad. I mean, it's nothing compared to where people are going to be in 20 years in the metaverse.
Yeah. Well, you say Instagram, I think TikTok. Because if we're talking about like where you
whatever,
spend,
I'm just saying like
yeah.
people are concerned that people are spending too much time on TikTok and
Yeah.
Instagram. When there's three-dimensional universes out there and everything else I already discussed, trust me, and there's no jobs because everything's automated, and you don't need much
But
money
I bet
to live.
the jobs would be in the metaverse though.
Oh, did you see that they hired
I don't know
casino
enough about
hosts
that.
in the metaverse?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's people in other countries that get paid more than their living wage
Oh yeah, gosh.
to be virtual casino
I think
hosts.
another problem though is that the metaverse is so egalitarian in terms of people that can work because anyone around the world can work there. I think that the pay is going to be very low, and I don't think it's going to attract any skilled workers.
Yeah, I think it was Ghana that people were making out like $400 or $500 a month. So it's 4 times the minimum wage.
Yeah.
On Axie Infinity.
Which is
Yeah.
great for a lot of developing countries, presumably, unless I'm missing some things. But I don't think that's going to be. You're not going to be able to make $90,000 a year at these low-level jobs in the metaverse. Maybe there are jobs in the metaverse. I just don't know enough about it. But regardless, people are going to be waking up, putting in their contact lenses, and staying at home, 15 hours a day, and it's going to have a lot of negative consequences for society.
It's just wild to think about, because if it's really that good, would you want the real world anyway?
No, you won't.
No.
I mean, it's literally like the Matrix.
Right.
No, most people will choose the blue pill.
No.
Most people will be choosing the blue pill in 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not there yet. The metaverse is still like kind of a grainy, two-dimensional thing.
Right.
But there's no question that we will have contact lenses and be living in a metaverse in 20 years. I mean, there's just no question.
I mean, imagine this, Graham. You wanted to buy that car from Hoovie.
Oh yeah.
Or just imagine you didn't have your GT yet, right?
Yeah.
Why would you spend 200 and however much grand on a car in real life when you can buy it on the metaverse for 20 grand and it's the same experience? To drive the car, to
would it be
display the
same?
car, exactly the same.
I feel like
in 20,
like,
in
Well,
20
not now,
years,
not
it
now,
might be
yeah.
a very similar experience.
So why would
Yeah.
anybody?
Like Ready Player One. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So why would you choose the real life car when you get the exact same
I don't know.
fulfillment out of the metaverse?
I don't know. I think it's gonna be used in the beginning for flexing of people to show
Well, not just
how
the beginning.
much.
It'll
yeah.
always. I mean,
Right.
there's no universe. You put whatever name in front of it you want, where people will be flexing their money.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be haves and have-nots in the metaverse too.
So why don't you buy land in the metaverse? Why not just take
Well,
a little
again,
sliver
because I
of-
equate it
yeah.
to crypto, I
Yeah.
think that the values have gone up so much that there could be a little bit of a reckoning. But again, and again, I don't know which metaverse.
I think
but
that's the most
there's
important.
no question. Yeah, there's no question that land in whatever metaverse ends up being like one of the more dominant metaverses
Yeah.
is going to be an excellent investment. I mean, there'll be millions and millions of dollars for good pieces of land and for houses, no question.
Yeah. It's interesting. One of my first clients, his name was John Jacobs, and he held the record. And I remember looking him up when I'm trying to like research who he was. He held the record for the most expensive virtual item ever sold in 2010. It was in this. They called it. It was a game. What was it? It was like this Entropia universe. or
Oh,
something.
he had the disco.
Yeah,
the discotheque.
he had an asteroid.
Yeah, yeah.
In
But it was a
Entropia,
disco.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you visit his asteroid.
Yes, yeah. So he sold this for $630,000 in 2010 back then. And it was a disco. He was making $200,000 a year from this, and people would pay to gain access to his disco in the game, and he owned
Well, that's the same
entire
thing
asteroid.
going on in like other
Yeah.
metaverses right now. You're going to be making a fortune if you own land and you build a casino or you build like a destination and you rent it out.
Yeah.
Or people will be spending most of their money in 20 years, 10 to 20 years. People will be spending most of their money in the metaverse.
Are you worried about the impact on real estate for, like, let's say for you 20 years from now? If you're thinking ahead, how does this impact you or the business?
I think that listen, there's so many things that are hard to kind of figure out about this. But if I had to guess in 20 years, I'd say that a lot of people will not need as much from where they're living. I mean, I think, first of all, you're not going to probably see many shopping centers and and I don't really think you're going to be seeing, commercial spaces like you've got these big towers, with thousands of people coming into work. I mean, those will have to be converted to residential housing at some point. Because I mean, we're not going to be having a bunch of people going to work in 20 years. And I think that you'll have a lot of people that could probably live in, a 600 square foot, condo without a view. And there'll be technology in 20 years where you can put a little window on a wall, like a Samsung frame TV, but imagine it, 50,000 times better. And it'll look like a view, and it'll move when you move, and it'll be whatever view you want. So I think you could probably turn a really crappy, dark apartment into a gorgeous little, apartment just from these little fake windows. And you'll have natural light. I mean, you'll probably be able to have sunroofs, in 20 years, you'll be able to buy a sunroof, just put it onto a dark ceiling, and it'll look like the sun, and the sun will move, and you won't be able to tell if that sunroof or whatever you want to call it, sunlight, is real or not. In 20 years, you'll have no way of knowing, and it will be at night, and you can black it out when you don't want to wake up. I mean, I think that technology is going to have a huge impact on real estate.